You see in the rundown there, it says Benedict Ricks, okay? Look, let's be clear. Do not fault the kid for trying to do what, he thinks is best for his career. And for Eli Ricks, it's going to Alabama. So let me be the first to say, look, I clearly understand. As an adult, as a 33-year-old adult, understand and a kid doing what he believes is best for himself, okay? That said, it's irrational anger time, okay? And make no mistake, if I was on this LSU football team, I would be frothing at the mouth to get a shot to cook Eli Ricks. This man betrayed you as openly as you can in the game of college football. The Benedict part of that is a reference to Benedict Arnold, the most famous traitor in American history. This man committed college football treason. He left you at your lowest point for the team, for the easiest possible route to go to Alabama and Nick Saban. And I do not want that man to be rewarded with a championship for leaving his former brothers behind to join their arch enemy. And Jake, if I'm one of these receivers, there's a chance you used to battle with Ricks daily in practice. If I'm one of these receivers, I am, again, frothing. And I don't know how the players feel nowadays because I'm approaching this from an irrational fan standpoint, right? And it's like in the NFL, right? We can be like, oh, I hate the Falcons. Like, Saints players don't really hate Falcons players. They want to win that game, right? But a lot of times it's just these are all professionals. And I think nowadays in the age of NIL and the transfer portal, I think players are a bit more understanding than we were back in the day about players leaving. Because I had an old teammate in our signing class who left and went to Alabama, and nobody ever talked to that man again. Went from being tight, friends, everything, to quite literally no one speaking another word to him ever. And then every time he got on the field, which admittedly was sparingly, it was like a giant red bullseye painted on his back. If I'm Kayshon Boutte or Malik Neighbors or Dre Jenkins, the guys who came up with Ricks, I am wanting to punish him for his treason.
Even if you don't have that mindset, because it is a different time in college football, who do you want to play the best against? Your boys.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Even if your boys, you want to play the best you possibly can against that team because, man, you want bragging rights. I mean, I played against LSU guys in the NFL. It's like, you ain't going to get me for when we're working out in Baton Rouge in the offseason. Yeah. You can talk that ish. That ain't going to happen. And so it's definitely something they're going to notice. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Like, they're going to notice when Seven's out there covering them. And he's had an interesting year, to say the least. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the snaps that he's played. By the way, listen to snaps, YouTube, volume, whole deal. Aaron Murray, T-Bob Hebert. Utah State, he played 42 plays. He only played 6 against Texas, 24 against Louisiana Monroe, 23 against Vanderbilt, only 4 against Arkansas, only one snap against Texas A&M, and 94 against Mississippi State. Now, that was, the last game that we saw them was Mississippi State, and he had his best game by far. Now, that's a matchup where you're not going to be covering a lot of deep routes. You're going to have some intermediate stuff. You might have a 15 to 18-yard dig route. That's about as deep as Mississippi State goes down the field. So maybe it was a matchup for him. But he's not out there, T-Bob, and here's the grades. 68, 65, 53, 62, and then he had an 83 against Mississippi State. So the last time out was his best time out, but that matchup is different than any of these other matchups. So he's kind of had an odd path there.
Yeah, I mean, he transfers there. He gets all the preseason. He gets 3 different preseason All-American awards, and then, he has not played. Now, I think that's probably what was best for him, right? Because he had to kind of he is going to be a better football player, I think, in the end for having gone through this, having to fight his way back to the field, understand what the expectations and everything were for him at Alabama, and that nothing was going to be handed to him there. But again, at the same time, if I'm one of these receivers that knows him inside and out, again, like Jake said, whether you're approaching it from an antagonistic angle or that's my boy, you want to cook him. And there should be a target on his back every time that you get a chance to do said cooking.
I know I would.
Yeah.
I mean, even like me and Stelz used to go against each other in the NFL, and it was like, that's my boy. Like, that's my guy, but I can't let Stelzy run past me here on this kickoff return. Like, that can't happen. So, like, regardless of if it's a good relationship, bad relationship, like, you're going to know.
Interesting quote from Nick Saban on Eli Ricks. He says, quote, "It's important that he goes into this game and is himself and doesn't think he has to do something fantastic just because he's playing against a team he used to play for. I think that's always important psychologically. The guys are able to focus on what's in front of them and do their job well." So let's be clear. Like, even Saban is basically saying that this is an issue that they have to deal with. They're being very upfront about it. And let's see does Eli Ricks push, or can he maintain composure and kind of stay within himself and within the game plan?
Look, I know one of the things that they tried to deal with when he was playing was keeping his emotions intact, because he would get a high, right? And that's not like a negative thing, but that was one of the things that I know the prior coaching staff talked about. Like, when he got to that ultimate high where he was trying to be ultimately competitive there, he would kind of lose track sometimes of what the responsibility was.
Well, like even the UCLA game, right? He got a pick on a play where he did the wrong thing.
Where
right?
10 guys were in one coverage, he was in his own coverage.
Yeah.
Now he got an interception, probably because the quarterback's reading the coverage. He's like, you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, sure.
But, yeah, that's some of the things that the coaching staff would talk about.